Hi everybody, how's it going? This is Tom Puglisi from Infragistics. I'm technical evangelist here. I'm here with Jason Beres as well.
Hi everyone.
And we're going to be spending the next hour talking about a bunch of cool stuff related to the Windows Forms world. And a lot of people say, well, Windows Forms, what about WPF, Silverlight, or all these other technologies? Not really Silverlight, or more like jQuery and all these other platforms. But yes, there's a lot of customers out there with Windows Forms. And we're going to talk about how you can take your Windows Forms apps that you've already built out there and have buzzing around in your enterprise and touch enable them. So today's topic is building touch-enabled the Office UI in Windows Forms. I'm going to show you some Visual Studio action. I'll put together a quick Windows Forms app, show you some controls that you may or may not know about, and then I'll show you how easy it is to enable touch on that.
Last month, all about what's the framework for building apps, and there's always these. What about combine all of those platforms from Microsoft? They're still not as big as Windows Forms deployment. Forms, and so forms important in
Right, and the good thing is because we've added this additional support, you could just go in and just tweak up the existing apps and give them more life.
Exactly.
And give them and future-proof them more.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk a little about cross-platform touch. So what does this mean? It means we have a bunch of different platforms that we could build applications for, Windows Forms, WPF, any type of web-based applications. There's so many choices out there. Like, what do you do? Well, the good thing is that, for those of you that know Infragistics for a long time, you know that we always build controls and components for all these various platforms out there that are popular. So that's what we're all about, essentially. I mean, we also have other services that help build enterprise apps. We have user experience expertise. But the thing is, in order to build various applications for the different platforms, we have you covered. And what we've basically done is we've gone through and we've made sure that any of our new product developments that we've created the past few years, for example, Ignite UI is one of them, we've engineered touch-friendly UI elements as well as responding to touch-enabled events in your various devices. There's so many devices. There's tablet-based devices. There's really tiny phone-based devices. And of course, there's larger form factor screens out there that have touch. Brian Lagunas was playing with that big screen that he got.
Yeah.
I want to get my hands on that one too. Get 20 of them.
Yeah, we have. Definitely take a look at.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I'd like to get my hands on that one. No pun intended. So there's a lot of touch devices out there, and all these apps that we have to build in order to provide our users with the tools they need to get the job done. So Infragistics has gone through and made sure that touch works on all of these. There's different implementations of touch. For example, in Ignite UI, of course you can pinch, zoom, and manipulate the various controls that we have, but also we provide touch-friendly based UI elements. For example, you can't just click with the mouse and drag and drop column headers around. So we provide you with little elements or icons that you could tap with your finger, and then it gives you a little UI that pops up, which allows you to explicitly tap little options such as move this column to the next position, or hide this column, or show that column. So that's pretty much what Infragistics has to offer across the board on all these different platforms. And again, here's just some more slides. I'm going to go through a couple of slides, then I'm going to jump into Visual Studio. But it's important to talk about that the way Infragistics has designed this is by using, we have interaction design, various professionals here, interaction design, user experience. So essentially, think of me and Jason as we've been developers for many years. But since Infragistics several years ago, we've built a really comprehensive team of UX professionals which pretty much have PhDs, master's degrees in this field. And since they've come here, they've really transformed the way we build controls and components by them understanding the way the end users will ultimately use the apps that you build with our controls, as well as the developers that interact with the controls while they're using them in Visual Studio or whatever other IDE you may be using to build the apps. So all that stuff is engineered into the controls to provide a very good end-to-end experience for developers with intuitive APIs, where sometimes you're looking for an API to do something. It's very intuitive to find and discover methods, properties that you need to enable that make sense. You could thank the UX guys for that, as well as the different touch-based interactions or even keyboard and mouse-based interactions that are engineered into the controls. So a couple of things that this slide talks about is that, so we're going to talk about for the web in this slide particularly, we have Ignite UI, which is based on jQuery, which we're talking about jQuery UI as well as jQuery mobile. So we have you covered there. We have you covered with the ability to build responsive web design type of applications where we actually have a framework that we've built that detects and automatically pretty much messages or sends out messages that the screen has changed. And the way it works is we give you 3 intrinsic screen sizes that you can design your app for. For example, there's regular size, which is like the regular laptop or desktop screen size form factor. Then there's a tablet size, and then there's a small or mobile phone size. So those 3 sizes just come right out of the box, and whenever the screen automatically changes to that size, or if someone navigates to a page from a small browser or a small browser window, which is usually a small mobile phone or a tablet, the framework will know. Now, how does this help you guys? Well, imagine implementing that framework in several ways. So the jQuery grid has these modes built into it. So you specify these different modes or different screen sizes, and you could specify which columns are visible or not for each one of those independent modes. And then we have a layout manager, which is a non-visual implementation of that layout framework. And what you do is you pretty much initialize that guy, and then you place items within the various non-visual containers. Think of it as an HTML table. I don't want to use that example, but just try to imagine an HTML table where you specify these various cells with column layouts, row layout, with col span, row span. You create a virtual grid for layout purposes. Then you could specify weights to each one of these. Let me see. I just want to see. I think we lost connection here. If this one's live. Oh, it's resolving. Okay, looks like I'm. Hi everybody. Got kicked off the network. Just got to make sure everything is established here. Okay, looks like I'm still recording. Okay, everyone. Sorry about that little blip. We're still good. All right, good. All right, everybody. So, and away we go. Life wouldn't be, fun without these technical difficulties once in a while, right? So, all right. Next thing we talk about native mobile development. So the thing is, you want to build apps, right? So you're not sure if you want to build web-based applications that are accessible everywhere, or if you want to build a native type app for the various platforms, Android or for iOS. Well, Infragistics also has native controls for iOS, for Android, And for Windows Phone, and guess what, also for WinUI, so that you consider that mobile as well, of course. So the thing is, the choice is up to you guys. There's various uh, uh, benefits, and sometimes there might be detriments depending on what it is that you want to do in your apps. Like you need to access local hardware resources, various things of that nature. Then you should go mobile. If you want you want to brand your app and have it in the App Store, you could do, you could definitely go for the native experience. But remember, if you use our Ignite UI and you want to do the web-based approach, you could also use PhoneGap. You could do that, which pretty much wraps up your web app, giving you a hybrid between a native app and web app. So you can go that route as well. So Xamarin, if any of you out there use Xamarin, the Infragistics, Infragistics controls blend in with that as well. So basically, that's one that generates code for the various types of native devices out there. So we worked with those guys, and it allows you to work with the MonoTouch application to write code in you write code in C#, and then it generates it into the other native. Pretty much converts the code. It converts the code to the other code.
Hold on, that's me.
And it converts. It's coming through mine. Let me see. How about now? Okay, I just muted it. Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, we're still good.
And I just got to double check here that the microphone. Yes, okay, we can still hear me. Okay, good. So it works with Xamarin as well, so if you guys use that one. All right, so here's a couple of okay, so a couple of things that we're going to talk about. There's different things about touch that we need to know. Essentially, I could summarize all these slides in this is all UX lingo and linguistics. But basically, whenever you touch enable any kind of application, you want to make sure that it's very intuitive, because it's not the same as when you have a mouse and keyboard. You have very precise control with the tiny little mouse, pointer and all that. You have to design for that. You have to make sure that any type of interactive points are larger. You have to make sure that you have things like format my hard drive button next to the save button, with only 1 pixel away. You have to make sure that you design these things in such a way where it's much more dumbed down, quote unquote. You can see my air quotes. You want to make it more like a, dumbed down design so that you're not touching things by accident, like formatting your hard drive or invoking actions that were not really intended. So that's the biggest thing. Keep in mind things like dragging and dropping aren't really available the same way when you click and drag the mouse. So all those types of interactions have to be thought out. And again, you want some ideas on how to do that in a nice way, check out the Ignite UI products and the Ignite UI controls, especially the grid. And if you guys know how to do the Outlook grouping and all that other crazy stuff with our grids, normally with the keyboard, also look at how we did that in our jQuery grid based on having UI pop-ups that come up and then give the end user the ability to tap menu items to achieve the same exact thing. So that's the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind whenever designing touch-enabled apps. There's a couple of other technical details here, technical little things here. There's basically, just it's all about sizes, 9mm squares, the optimal touch target. It's just use common sense. Don't create buttons that are like 1 pixel by 1 pixel wide.
Basically, when you think about a touch device and you look at your phone, and there's all kinds of metrics that you'd find on what a touch point should be, how big it should be, what the forgiveness should be around buttons. And so the real rule is that if it's 7mm or smaller, it's going to be hard to touch. And so you want to make sure that they're at a minimum of 9mm, so every button touch space. And that's what we use as the default, is a 9mm touch point. So when Tom goes into demos and you're wondering, well, how big are those buttons? Well, the smallest they are is going to be 9mm. It really goes to how friendly this UI is that you're kind of just getting out of the Windows forms to take it from something that's very difficult to work with to something that actually behaves more like a phone device.
All right. Okay, this is I almost died laughing when I saw this slide. I'm sorry, I thought it was really hilarious. So Windows Forms problem. Again, we talked about this before at the beginning of the demo. Lots of Windows Forms apps out there, and guess what? The hardware is evolving with touch. All these touch devices, that will run the Windows Forms applications that you've already built. But back then, who knew about touch? I mean, if I actually probably look at the companies where I used to work before I came here, which is a long time ago, there's probably a lot of my apps still floating around if they haven't upgraded those guys. So who knew about touch back then, right? So guess what? You now need to retrofit. So that's why we're talking about bolt-on or Michael bolt-on. So Jason was doing a search for bolt-on to try and find some graphics, and one of the first search results was this guy, Michael Bolton. Did you listen to him?
Oh, I haven't.
Oh, really? I thought I was the only one. Yeah, it's great. I love his music. I mean, his hair has improved as well, so thank goodness. So yeah, so that's the big problem. You need to now do something to your existing Windows apps to give it more life in these new devices. So that's what we're going to talk about in this demo, as well as show you guys as well. So it's not that hard. What I learned about how to do this is pretty easy. All right, so we're going to introduce the Infragistics Touch for Windows Forms. The way this works is, and the way Infragistics has done this pretty much was they've created a component that I'll get into the technical details about this afterwards. But we pretty much created a component that you throw onto the forms that have your Infragistics controls, and by default, it will automatically change several of the UI elements within certain controls so that they're bigger. I mean, without this Infragistics touch component, you guys could go to each and every control, and then manually resize a bunch of things. Now, granted, there may be elements within the Infragistics controls that don't have properties that allow you to resize them manually. So that's why the touch component is really important. And again, there's here's some user stories that the engineers and user experience people have come up with. So as a developer, I'm designing an application either for a touch-enabled system or not. So I want to be able to enable touch-friendly metrics in a single operation, not set a property on each individual controls in my application. So that's what I just mentioned. We provided you with a way where you don't have to go and manually touch a bunch of properties. I mean, that would be a pain. Imagine you have 500 controls on a form, which would be crazy if you had that. And then you have to go and set each one of these properties one way and then another.
At all? Is it as high as it'll go? People are having trouble. Yeah, you need to settings. You need to boost this. I don't know. That's it. Yeah, maybe
it looks stronger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go try it out. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. Thanks. Okay, so that's basically one of the things that we designed here. So the name of the component that you're interested in is called the Ultra Touch Provider. It's pretty much a component that you throw onto the form, and it automatically integrates and hooks up to all the Infragistics controls, and it transforms them so that the various key UI elements within the Windows Forms controls become larger and reorient themselves so that it's designed for touch. That's what it does. And there's a property on it. There's like a Boolean that you could flip on or off, and it turns touch on or off. So imagine you have this app that you're building or you have built already, and some of your users have touch-enabled hardware and some don't. Just imagine having a configuration setting that you can allow your end users to go into that configuration screen and check it, check the checkbox or remove the check, and they can they can pretty much decide if they want touch enabled on their application, and then you just save it in like a persistence, persistence medium, whatever. It's like if it's like a persistable property, then you could have like a universal, maybe singleton configuration object floating around the scope of your entire app, so that way every time a form is loaded, you can enable or not enable touch, something like that. So there's panning support for the grid, the list view, tree, and value list. So what? And again, I'll show you. It'll be once I go through the demo, I'll show you. So these are the controls that support or that get modified essentially with the touch. All these guys here. So this control right here. So the grid. We're looking at the filter drop-down button UI element. So again, we're targeting specific UI elements. Now, what are UI elements? Well, UI elements are what Infragistics has named many years ago, before even WPF existed. It's what we've named individual components that constitute any one of our Windows Forms controls. And these UI elements all get combined mostly in a hierarchical fashion to construct the controls that we know and use today. So, but again, think of these as little tiny Lego blocks that all snap together in a hierarchical fashion. And because we have control over these guys internal to the control, that's what the touch provider is adjusting. So these are all the individual Lego blocks inside of the grid that get changed whenever touch is enabled. So the drop-down indicator, the column chooser thing, the filter, UI elements, all the different things that you want to pretty much interact with the grid. So like the checkbox and the column headers, all these things become bigger. Even with the checkbox, what happens is the area around the checkbox becomes larger as well, so that when you tap the checkbox, there's nothing else really around it that could interfere with that. Same thing with the tree. The tree itself has also been adjusted so that the nodes, headers, the expansion indicators, the checkboxes, and even the little radio buttons, like the little option radio buttons. And what you see here, what pretty much has happened is the spacing around the nodes and everything else has been spaced out more so that there's no interference. And I was playing around with a sample of this on a touch device. I personally don't have a touch device right on this demo, but when I was playing with the tree, it's just that everything gets spaced out more and you're not tapping other nodes by accident. The list view as well. So the list view, the list view is the control that you want to use to reproduce that Windows Explorer look and feel. That's the list view. So again, we've gone through that control and updated the various UI elements in there as well. So all the different modes. So you have details view, list view, icon view. Those modes, we've pretty much gone through and set those up. Now, everything that we create that has tabs in it, think of all the different controls we have that have tabs. That would be the tabbed MDI components, which allows your child MDI forms to pop up and look like Visual Studio tabs that take up the entire client area of the main parent window. Those tabs have also been updated for touch. Then the regular tab control that we have, the tab strip, so those got updated as well. So all these different things here that we see have all been updated. Okay. So the editors have also been updated too. So Infragistics has a lot of editor controls, and what we've done is we've pretty much set that up for touch too. But the biggest thing for this, the way these guys work, is if you're specifically on a touch-enabled device, whenever you tap the editor to go into edit mode, you should get your device's keyboard that pops up, like the virtual screen keyboard. So that thing would pop up. But then again, if you have other buttons inside the editor, such as the drop-down buttons, spin buttons, and all of those things will become much larger as well. All right, so Jason, this roadmap, these are controls that are going to get touch. Okay, so these are all the controls. So what you see here, desktop alert, the message box, all the calendar-based scheduling controls, all those guys are going to also get touch controls, touch support as well. So that's good that we have those in the roadmap. All right, so guess what? We're going to go into Visual Studio time. Let's do this. All right, so I've got a Visual Studio app running here, so it's just a Windows Forms application. I threw some data in here. Yes, I'm using a data set. Sorry about that, but it's just for demo purposes only. All right, so let's do this. Let's just how about we start off with a couple of things here. First and foremost, if you guys haven't seen the Visual Studio toolbox with Windows Forms, this thing is ginormous. We have lots of controls. It's really, I remember seeing this many years ago. It was smaller, but it's just evolved over the years. So the grid controls, all these editor controls. We have a lot of controls. We have a lot of controls that are also used to help you lay out the view of your forms, like Doc Manager, the tabbed MDI components, the various tile control. That we have the tile control as well, the tile panel rather. Lots of different things that we've added. And by the way, if you notice where my mouse is right now, it's the touch provider that we're going to be using. Well, let's just build a regular app for now. How about this? Are you feeling like a grid, Jason? Yeah. Grid for now. All right, so let's do that. And again, just want to make sure we sort the items alphabetically. And Ultra Grid right there. There we go. And why do we have, what are these Ultra names? Well, back then when we created these controls, that was the product marketing, so Ultra WinGrid. The component is called Ultra Grid. We call it WinGrid. I've heard other people call it Ultra WinGrid, but you know what? Just say the Infragistics Grid. The Infragistics Grid for Windows Forms. All right, so let's just let's set this one up. Let's set up a data source. We'll do just drag and drop, right? So no fancy programming, ninjutsu today. So we're going to go for the Northwind data source, but I'm going to set it up for, actually, let me go to customers. All right, so we're going to set up for the customers. And
Hey, Tom, while you're getting that going, I got a couple questions online about WPF versus WinForms. And I want to just clarify that by default, our WinForms product is touch. If you have a touch screen, it works. I mean, you can touch and you can scroll and you can have all kinds of fun. What we're showing you today is really about using the new touch provider, which makes everything bigger and more touch friendly. So maybe we should have clarified that a little bit. So if you're building a WPF app and you have a touch screen, we fully support touch. If you're building a Windows Forms app with 12.2 and you have a touch screen, we fully support touch. So what we've done is we've enhanced the product with the touch provider to enable a more touch-friendly experience for your apps. So, for example, I was at a customer a few weeks ago and they're showing me something on their Surface in WinForms and he kept hitting the wrong button on the screen. Now with the touch provider, because we enlarge the touch points to greater than 9 millimeters or 9 millimeters and bigger, it made it really easy to do that. So that's the difference between what the touch story is versus what we consider like real touch enablement, which delivers that better user experience.
Cool. Yeah, that's true. And I remember that's happened to me too. I remember using a Windows Forms app on Jason's machine without the touch provider, and it definitely works. All the touch actions work. It's kind of like when I'm navigating to Netflix on my mobile device. That site isn't really designed for mobile, and I accidentally put movies that I really didn't want to watch. And then those guys came, and I'm like, oh my God, who put this on my queue? It was me by accident, Yeah, and I didn't want to, like, who put, like the Care Bears, movie on my queue, or My Little Pony. All right, so. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I just got to make sure the guys could hear me because I got to talk really loud. All right. All right, so let's do this. So I got some data in here. Just want to show you. I'm just dragging and dropping the grid on here, just run it right now to show you the default grid, what it looks like with data. This is not hierarchical data. Actually, there is a hierarchy involved, but I didn't get the child records or whatever, just the plain old grid. So I'm going to keep building this out so it looks better. The other thing I'll do is, how about we throw a tree in here for some navigation. So the ultra tree, got to scroll down right here, ultra tree. I'll just create some nodes in here in the designer, just to show you, and I'll enable some properties as well. So we click on this, we can go into the nodes property right here, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to add root, then I'm going to add child. I'll just keep adding a root here, a couple of roots, then a child here. Add siblings. And again, the best way to do this is through code. This is just for a quick and dirty demo, whatever. So we'll do that. So that is set up, all right? Let's see, what else? Any other properties I could set on here while I'm at it? How about we do, if I could enable checkboxes. All right, so right here, the display style, I'll leave that for now, just these two guys. I mean, if I just run this app right now, it's going to not look that nice, but I'm going to show you some other stuff to make it look much nicer as well. So if I run this, this is what it looks like. We have data. We have maybe, imagine that's like a navigational element right here. So I'm expanding, with my keyboard and mouse here. Then we have some we have some data as well. So here's what else I'm going to do now. So that's just the default styling. And rather than clicking on the actual controls and setting properties for styling, I'll show you the best way to do this. And actually, it loans itself for high performance. So let's go navigate through my hard drive. And we're going to go to, let's see, where did they put that? That would be, okay, so users, Tom P. That's my username. So now you can hack into my machine if you can get into this network. Feel free to take stuff on my machine. Then we have documents, and we should have statistics. Then we have, no, it's not in there. I'm sorry, all users. Infragistics. Is that where you are? That's where you are. Mind where we throw this stuff. It's in a publicly accessible folder. So it's all users, public, my documents, or public documents. And then we want to go to the Windows Forms, and we want to go to App Stylist for Windows Forms and styles. That's what I was looking for. These are the styles that we were looking for. So I'm going to copy this right here and paste it directly into Visual Studio right here. Paste. And now we have these styles as a part of the application. Next, what am I going to do? I'm going to select all of these styles, all of them. And I'm going to set the build action to copy always. Whoops, sorry, I actually meant to say copy to output directory. So copy to output directory, copy always, that's what I meant to say. So now, whenever I do build, it's going to dump all of these styles into the executables folder. Now we go to program.cs, and before this application is loaded up, we're going to do this. Style Manager, and then we're going to just hover our mouse over here to get the little helper here, and I'm going to set up using infragistics.win.appstyling. That's the namespace where this infragistics class is. .load. And what am I going to load? We're going to load and so we're going to do application.startup path and let's see, styles. And how about, what style are you feeling like, Jason? You like the Nautilus? That one looks cool. We'll start, if you don't like it, we'll just load another one up. I'm just going to hard code these strings in there for now. All right, so we're going to load this guy up, right? Just like that. All right, so what does that do? Load it up. On the app, And it looks, wow, very different. Oh, I like the stripes on top. That looks cool. All right, so okay, we got, and again, the nodes, the nodes also have, just keep in mind that if you wanted to make the tree look nice, if you wanted to use it as a navigational type of UI, you could also add icons using the node's appearance property. So the node appearance property has an image property in its sub-object properties. All right, so let's see what else. I'm going to just throw some tabs up there. I'm going to make like a make-believe app that has tabs and stuff as well. So let me just move this guy down here, move these down a little bit, and let's take the Ultra tab. Or the tab strip will work as well. The tab strip is essentially a bunch of tabs without the content in itself. And the way that you could use the tab strip control so that you could place just the tabs only without the actual content. So that's what you can use that for. And then you could, like, say, programmatically do other things, like switch stuff around. So I'm going to use the smart tab here, the smart tag. Let's add a few tabs. Tab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine for now, just a bunch of tabs. There's also, let's see, the view style. There's different types of view styles. But then there's the regular style. So the view style, you can see the properties here. We have Visual Studio, Office, the different types of Office. But then the style, the plain old style, this is what drastically changes what it looks like. Like you want it to be like the note pages, where it looks like like when you're flipping a page, like the page curled over. That's what that's supposed to be right there. So the note page. Let's see, the state buttons. Mutually exclusive state buttons, so we can do that. But I'm going to just leave it as the default tabs, right? So that's what we're going to leave it as. And let's see, anything else? You know what? I'll just throw maybe I'll throw like a couple of editors on here as well. I mean, there's a lot of other things I could throw, like the list control as well. There's a lot of things I could throw down here. But let's take a look real quick. I'll do the text editor right here. I mean, we're not building like the most awesome UI because I'm just throwing controls down there. But let's see the editor, and then remember the editor's left and the editor's right properties. So, or I'm sorry, did I just say editors? We want the buttons right and the buttons left. Click on the little ellipse button there on the property itself in the property window. Then I can add several types of buttons. We could add plain old editor buttons. We can add a drop-down button. And whenever we do that, the cool thing is you can associate this drop-down button with any other control on the form. So imagine you wanted to create a custom editor so that when you click on a button, it pops up whatever control you want and interact with that control and place the resulting values in the text box. So we'll just add a few editor buttons here, and I'll add we'll add some others on the other side. So the buttons left, buttons right. I'm going to add a few here. 1, 2, 3. You could also set the key and the text property. Like the key is important because if I have 20 buttons on there, how do I programmatically handle which one was clicked, right? So that's very important. But that's what the key is for. Make sure you use these and handle the editor button clicked event on the text box. But for something really cheap and simple, something like this, like the old school, buttons that we have here in the text that's shown within those. Let's say, this one here, and we're going to put this on that one right there. Just like some various navigational things. All right, so we have that there. Let's see. How about the date control? We'll take the date control. We'll take the datetime editor, that one right there. We'll leave that one as default. Now the other thing I wanted to add was, I'll add some. Let's see this is fine for now. Let's just take a look. So we run this right now. Now imagine if I had a touch device, I really wouldn't be able to interact with this in a way where I'm tapping the buttons that I really wanted to tap. Like the tabs are kind of small, And I have to, without the mouse, I'd be in big trouble. But here are the different buttons that I've added that you can click on. Here's a little drop down for the date picker. All right, so how do we touch enable this? Well, let's do that right now. And now when I scroll down, you see this right here, you can see even the little touch icon. All I'm going to do is double click it and get it on there. And look, auto-magically, everything became bigger. It's just like, now the thing is, of course, I have all these buttons. The touch provider is not going to resize things like the actual, like the editors. That's why I did all this, so I can show you. You pretty much need to make sure you accommodate for that, so I have to resize these. I'm resizing the the tree a little bit. I'm going to resize. I'll just resize everything, make it bigger. But that's pretty much one of the things you have to keep in mind. Now, that makes sense, right? I mean, you don't want Infragistics to blow up your UI, right, to just blatantly resize all the controls that you've carefully laid out in your app. So that's why you should do that one and accommodate for that as well. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just resizing these. And when I run it, let's take a look at what this looks like. Now remember, the style is being loaded at runtime, and here it is. Now we have much bigger tabs that I can easily tap on the nodes. I could select the nodes. I could tap on the expansion indicators as well, and the nodes are much more spaced apart. And, there's one thing. There's also some other properties we could set to make this even more touch-friendly. Like we have scroll bar properties that we could set. That's not being set with the touch provider, but let me show you real quick. Just got to find this property on the grid, for example. Where is that one? Let's see. And just give me a moment. I wanted to find this property here. So it should be display layout. And I think that should be in the override. I think it might be here. Let's see. Scroll bar look. Here we go. It didn't take me that long. The grid dot display layout dot scroll bar look. Very similar properties on the other ones as well. So now look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set these to like 20. Should start seeing some changes soon, I hope. And then there's the, let's see, scroll bar arrow style. So essentially what these do, it makes the scroll bars bigger so that you can pretty much, tap them with your finger. 20 here. All right, so let me see, does that make changes on here? I just have to see when I run this. But yeah, those are some of the properties that you set to adjust the scroll bars as well to make them bigger. So I run the app. Let's take a look. I don't think I've made changes on here. I think I may have set the wrong property. But essentially, Infragistics has added properties on all of our controls related to the scroll bars, so you can adjust the scroll bar height, the size of the thumb, or the scrolling thumb, and everything else, so that you can easily touch and scroll around. All right, so another thing, I mean, just wanted to make sure everyone out there, knows that we have, the ability to do this, the ability to add touch-enabled functionality to your app. Now, this is a really simple app that I built, but keep in mind some of the things that I've seen customers doing, and we just recently released the product, the 13.1 product that we have, and this is what I was just showing you, the Net Advantage 2013.1, which is this right here, so it's 13.1 toolbar that we have in Visual Studio, and this is where you get the touch provider. Now, a couple of areas where I could talk about to make sure that for design considerations, just got to make sure that if you want to touch enable your existing Windows Forms app, I mean, not just touch enable it, but touch enabled and make sure it's a good experience, because right now your app, believe it or not, is touch enabled. It'll work, as Jason said, in a touch-based hardware. Now you just want to make sure that it works really nice. You don't want people, like imagine if you have a trading app and a guy has a touch-based app or a touch-based device and he wants to place an order, but he accidentally sold off the wrong batch of positions that he has, he's going to be really angry, or do something like that. You don't want to do that. So just try it out on the hardware, see what it looks like, and enable touch by using the Ultra Touch provider, and just test it out. You might have to resize the actual controls themselves. So you could do something like that. And remember, there's a property on the touch provider itself where it's enabled. Now it's not enabled. So now you see it, now you don't. That's how it works. So you want to make sure that if you do flip from one mode to the other, that the controls will be able to accommodate for that. I mean, as you notice here, these controls are a certain size, and when I enable it, the buttons get bigger. So it could be, for the most part, it could be just as simple as you size these controls so that it's just one size, but it's going to work for both. It'll work for both modes.
I also think that's but the Metro.
Let's try that out. Okay, so Jason was saying, so let me see, let me just test this theory out real quick. We have a Metro theme in here. I'm going to change this style. Let's change the style to the Metro. I just wanted to see what this one looks like. All right, so let's run this again. Okay, yeah. So check this out, everyone. Looks like the scroll bars are made a little bit bigger with the Metro theme. Well, they do. They're a little bit bigger, like a few pixels bigger. And I think, you know what? I think they're about the same size as the other touch points, of however many millimeters you said. 9 millimeters. I think that's what that's been done here. I think. So yeah, the Metro theme is also, the Metro theme is pretty much designed to mimic the WinUI. So that's what Infragistics has created as well. So you can use this theme as well, maybe, and just change the colors to whatever color scheme you guys like. So those are some of the design considerations when touch enabling your existing apps. Now the thing is, if you're building new apps, completely new apps from scratch, what should you do? Well, I mean, you could use Windows Forms if you wanted to, but just take a look at our other products as well. I mean, we have other products. I mean, if you're building for WinUI, we have WinUI-based controls for both XAML and for WinJS. So when I say WinUI, I'm talking about Windows 8, the quote-unquote, the formerly known as Metro apps. So that's the one I'm talking about. If you wanted to build those types of applications, you can take a look at our WinUI products, so NetAdvantage for WinUI. And remember, that product contains controls that are architected on XAML and the WinJS stack. So you make your choice there which ones you want to use. So we have those, and those are all about touch. You could build a web-based application using our Ignite UI product, and that's all jQuery. So you can use that one to build your UI there. So, and that's pretty much, that's what we have. And we have our WPF product. You can do that as well. And don't forget, we also have a product that is not really the same exact thing as our controls and components, but it's more about reporting product. So it allows you to design reports within Visual Studio, and then those reports can be shown or viewed in any one of these platforms that I just mentioned. So you can view them in Windows Forms using the Windows Forms report viewer. You can view them in WPF using the WPF report viewer, jQuery, even Silverlight, all these platforms, you can view those reports. So that's basically, what we have here to show you. So Jason, what do you think about this? Do you think this got the point across, or? I think so. Okay. Yeah, so everybody, we're going to be hanging out online for a few minutes, taking up the time until, let's say, until the hour is up. We'll be taking questions. Let me just go back to the PowerPoint slides here. So just wanted to thank everybody for, first of all, sorry if the audio quality was not the best. we'll work on that for next time to make it better. But here's some links to some various resources that you may want to look at. The recording of this demo will be posted online, so you'll be able to look at it later. We're going to upload it to YouTube, so make sure you're following Infragistics on Twitter. That's the address right there. These are the samples. Take a look at the blogs on Infragistics. There's a lot of information posted on that. That's pretty much above and beyond what you'll find in documentation. There's a lot of UX stuff posted on the blogs as well. The forums is another great place where you guys can go to find answers that you may not find, again, in the documentation or in the samples. You may have a problem. You could go to the forum and see if it's a problem. Maybe it's a problem with the controls, or maybe you wrote some code that's not right. So check out the forums. Don't be shy to contact our developer support. They're there to help you out. If you have some technical questions or concerns or whatever, always get in touch with those guys and girls. They're really good. They're top-notch. I always go to them when I have a problem, so they're great. You can also find us on Facebook. Go to Facebook and then search for Infragistics, and you could like our page there. You could post comments on there, your opinions. Have a bunch of fun. You could get whatever info from us. We post a lot of cool things on Facebook, so you can have that streaming by whenever you have your Facebook loaded and you're in your non-productive mode at work. So keep the questions coming, and if there's something that we are unable to answer now, make sure you use any one of these channels here to get in touch with us so that we get your questions answered. So don't be shy, everyone, and thank you very much for attending.